Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to point out each and every day, it expands our base. I want to begin on a personal note. I am going to be taking a vacation, so my last podcast to you will be next Tuesday. I will be departing for a 1-month vacation. My wife and I will be enjoying ourselves, and so I am going to leave you bereft and bereaved. My commentary will resume on September 2nd, which is a Monday. So I just wanted to alert you to that before we begin. Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to point out each and every day, it expands our base. There are two major important stories breaking this morning. First, a prisoner exchange. The United States and Russia have agreed to a prisoner exchange. Now, we don't know the details of that prisoner exchange, so it's important to emphasize that as I deliver this judgment, if you will, we don't know all the details, and we may never know all the details. But what we do know is this: Americans who have been held in Russia are being released, and there is an exchange. On our part, there will be, no doubt, Russian people who have been held by the United States being released as well. We have to wait and see what the conclusion is. But for Joe Biden, this is a moment of triumph. He promised that he was going to get these people out of Russia, and he did. And that will be a major part of his legacy. What do we give in return for this remarkable achievement? Well, that is yet to be determined. But I want to point out clearly, precisely, unambiguously, that these kinds of events are rare and important, and it proves that you can cut a deal. That is why the Israelis, despite all of the turbulence in the Middle East, are still hopeful that the hostages taken by Hamas may yet be released. Of course, the circumstances are very different. What Hamas did was an atrocity: murder, rape, killing, horrific. But nonetheless, getting hostages home is important. I tried to imagine what it would be like to have somebody I love being held hostage. I believe that I would do just about anything to get them out. And that, my friends, is the key. And so the United States and Russia have reached an accommodation. And what the implications of that may be in the future, we don't know. But what we do know is that in the immediate present, individuals held, in the view of many, unfairly, are now being released. Is it a good idea to trade prisoners or trade hostages or trade anything? I guess it depends where you sit. If you're a family member, you're thrilled. And that, my friends, is the key. But a second event took place yesterday that we have to talk about, and that was Donald Trump's question and answer session with black broadcasters. I'm sure you've heard what Donald Trump did, and there are many dimensions to it, but I just want to address the question of color. Donald Trump said, "Oh, Kamala Harris, not black. She was Indian for years and years. Now she's black." And of course, that's completely untrue. Those of us who've known Kamala Harris for years and those who have read her autobiography know that she has proudly claimed her heritage, both as a black American and as an American of Indian descent. That is, the nation of India. I say this because Donald Trump's ridicule of Kamala Harris is shameful and ought to be condemned by Democrats and Republicans alike. Somebody asked me yesterday what I thought the future of this presidential campaign would be, and I want to answer very clearly. Whatever the polls show, we have a long way to go until Election Day. a little less than 100 days. And in those 100 days, we will judge the candidates not necessarily by the positives, but by the negatives. Donald Trump keeps piling up negatives. He keeps alienating people. I guess he has no control over what he says or how he says it. Or maybe he thinks this will appeal to his base, and if his base turns out, he'll win the election. But one thing is clear to me. If you listen to Donald Trump carefully, and you analyze what he says, and you analyze the way he says it, you understand hurt. Because that is what Donald Trump tries to do. He attacks, he hurts, and truth doesn't really matter. It's curious that his website, Truth Social, is used to communicate ideas. I was in a discussion with some people the other day who said, well, we look at Truth Social, but we don't believe it. We understand that extreme things will be said. And yet we know that Donald Trump's use of extreme language, his ability to provoke, well, that's his raison d'etre. And let me say one other thing. His attack on at least one black journalist during that interview was amazing. Amazing because he is a rude, difficult man. Did you hear what he said? Not only about the journalist, but did you hear what he said about ABC News? I mean, where Donald Trump gets off making these statements is of deep concern. And let me conclude by saying, yes, I do trust Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in critical situations. It doesn't mean they always do the right thing. But do I trust Donald Trump to do the right thing? Just take a look at the people in his administration, his trusted advisors, former cabinet officers, former White House chiefs of staff. Just take a look at people he has worked with who have turned against him and will not vote for him for president. That, in and of itself, should be enough for the American people to just say no to Donald Trump. As to the question of race, I learned a long time ago that people in America may have prejudices, which are demonstrated occasionally at the polls. Catholics, Jews, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, otherwise known as Mormons, women. We know there are people who just vote no if a person of color or, well, whatever the case may be, is on the ballot. We can't overcome it, but let's remember that we are blessed in this country that we have majority rule. That is to say, majorities tend to try to dismiss irrelevant and horrific accusations that are made. Not always, I admit it, but by and large, we are a people with balance and good temperament. Let us hope that in this campaign of 2024, that our good sense prevails and not our craziness. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague. You can interact with me on Facebook and LinkedIn. And, of course, I welcome your comments and observations. Oh, let me remind you, I will be away starting next Tuesday will be my last broadcast, and then I will be away until September 2nd. I apologize for the inconvenience, but everybody deserves a vacation. And my special thanks to Gogo's Ogre, the wonderful producer of this program. And, of course, I am John Rothman. See you tomorrow.